I'm going to turn my attention to what's been happening with Tata Motors. So shares of Tata Motors hit the lower circuit of 10% and ended about 8% down. That's because their subsidiary company, Jaguar Land Rover, in a press note said they're going to have to cut their global production by 50% because of a shortage of semiconductors. What really happened through the day? My colleague Shrishti has all the details.
Yes, absolutely. Just when today in the earlier trade today, we saw that a positive news flow coming from Tata Motors where the company plans to hike the prices for its passenger vehicle. But now with this, the new JLR update, that's surely impacting the stock price for Tata Motors. The company has come up with its Q1 update for the total JLR sales, where in both the segments for the retail sales and the wholesale sales for the company in Q1 have been really healthy. The retail sales were up 68% on a YOY basis, and the wholesale sales, excluding the China JV, was up 73% on the YOY basis. So this was a very positive comment on the demand side, but what was not positive and not positively taken by the market was two comments. Firstly, the company said that by the end of July, they will be coming up with their JLR results. And in that, they are expecting that by the end of June 31, the company had a total short-term and cash of about 3.7 billion euros. But given the supply constraint, the company expects this time to report a cash outflow of around 1 billion of euros with the negative EBIT margin for the quarter. So this was one negative factor that's impacting the stock price. And another negative is that looking ahead, the chip shortage is presently very dynamic and difficult to forecast, but in the second quarter they are seeing the situation to be worsening from what they actually saw in Q1, and this is potentially going to impact their wholesale volume, where they are expecting that to be tanked or to be 50% lower than the planned volumes by the company. So on account of both of these factors, you are seeing an impact on the stock price, which is down 9%, and going forward they expect some level of the shortage on the chip side will continue, and towards the end of the current financial year they expect the situation to persist. But towards the end of towards the second quarter they see some kind of a situation to normalize. So in the second quarter itself they are expecting some kind of a positive impact to be having on their financials as well. But on account of both of these comments, the stock is reacting negatively.
Yeah, but the problem is not just with JLR, and what we've seen with Tata Motors is just a symptom of a larger problem. There is a massive global shortage of semiconductors because they are used right now in everything from toothbrushes to home appliances to computers, laptops, phones, and of course in certain categories of cars. But the auto sector seems to be the worst hit. Why is that? Hormazd Sorabjee and Vinkesh Gulati are joining us to understand more. Hormazd, welcome to the show. What is your take? This is clearly a problem which goes beyond JLR. Do you think it's going to be restricted to global automakers for now, just because of the kind of automation they have in their cars generally?
I think that the chip shortage is a serious global problem for all automakers globally. And, I think there's a bit of a history to this, as we know that when the pandemic hit, the auto industry was forecasting a huge downturn in sales. So that's what they told their suppliers, chip makers included, that, they aren't expecting sales to really take off like they had. So they were expecting a serious downturn. That didn't happen. Sales started zooming, but at the same time, the demand for chips in other areas like, PlayStations, where everyone's been at home. So devices like PlayStations, tablets, all that sort of thing, the demand for chips really shot up there. So the chip makers diverted their production to those industries, the mainstream electronics industries. And at the end of the day, the auto industry accounts for just maybe 12 to 15% of the total volume of semiconductors. So in short, the auto industry needs the semiconductor industry more than the other way around. So, the auto industry is way down in the pecking order as far as priority for the to supply for the semiconductor industry. So really, this is a problem, and it's not going to go away soon. It was exacerbated by fire in one of the big semiconductor units. There are very few of them. It's not. There are just a handful of suppliers who make chips. So I think all these factors have really kind of put the industry in a terrible bind.
Vinkesh, give us the Indian context. It's largely believed that it's not going to make too much of a difference in India because a bulk of our products or the cars that are available, the vehicles that are available do not use too many semiconductors. But that is changing, isn't it, over time as more and more features find their way into cars, and they are also some of the best-selling models.
So I do not agree fully on this, but yes, obviously, the kind of vehicles we have, which is the entry-level cars, there are still the semiconductor used are as a very lesser advanced as compared to other models. But if you see how the retails are happening today, the customers, the waiting period of vehicles which are high are normally all those vehicles which have a lot of features, and which means that those are advanced vehicles using a lot of semiconductors and complex semiconductors in their vehicles. So if you check what are the latest compact SUVs we are waiting for today, Thar or Seltos or Creta, all are fully loaded with the features. So obviously there are some models like entry-level cars where a single-din music system is still being used, or a normal non-touch music system. So similarly, other things also which are not as tech-savvy as the other advanced cars are. So there the problem would be lesser. But overall, as of today, I don't feel any vehicle what we are selling on the car segment, the semiconductor is involved, and because of the lot of safety features also and the lot of advancement, BS4 to BS6 also, semiconductor importance is too much for an India car manufacturer also. So maybe we were in a phase like Hormazd said, we were already going down. Maybe our set of orders before was there, but obviously we didn't expect the swing which is being seen today in demand in the car post-pandemic. I'm not saying post-pandemic, but post-lockdowns. So that is the gap what we are seeing. So if we are able to get
beginning to hit, is it already beginning to hit in India?
A bit,
yeah,
yes.
Is it already beginning to hit demand, the supply chains in India yet?
Yes. It's already hit because there are waiting of the vehicles. So if you check, there are most of the car manufacturers, cars models are at this point on a waiting list. So if you are waiting for a car for 2 months to 4 months, so automatically there is a demand supply gap. And as of today, the biggest issue is semiconductor.
Hormazd, just to give it some context in India, because we are expecting, or at least automakers are expecting, some revival, pent-up demand revival over the next couple of months. We've also reported that production levels will be up in July. Do you think that's when the semiconductor global shortage will start hitting Indian shores as well?
Absolutely, and I completely concur and agree with Vinkesh that we aren't spared from the whole semiconductor shortage. In fact, I think we might be even worse off just because our content or the volume of semiconductors we need may not be as high as other more mature markets. So obviously, even semiconductor suppliers are going to be serving their customers, which are their high-ticket customers. So again, we might be going down in the pecking order over there. So that could, kind of exaggerate the problem even further. So I think it is going to be a major issue. There's no real short-term, solution for this. You can't just turn on a switch and increase semiconductor capacity. And as mentioned earlier, there are very, very few suppliers of semiconductors, one of which was hit by a fire, so that again kind of added to the problem. So I think what's going to happen is that manufacturers have to be a little smart and maybe even change their variant mix a bit. Offer some variants which you might have to delete a few features, which are semiconductor rich, just so that you can get them into the showrooms. Otherwise, they just on the you can't build the cars otherwise, just because you're waiting for one small chip. So I think they'll have to be intelligent about it, but I don't see the problem going away in a hurry, even in India. Of course, some companies manage it better than others. That's all about supply chain management, but overall, it is a problem that's definitely here to stay for a while.
You can imagine the world's largest manufacturer in Taiwan has also said that they're trying to shore up supply chains, but it's going to take time. The estimate is that we're going to see this well midway into 2022. Companies like iPhone, Apple and Samsung are thinking about postponing their flagship launches because where will the chips come from? So it is an issue that we'll be looking at with its impact panning out over the next few months to come as well. Thank you so much, Vinkesh and Hormazd, for joining us on the show this evening. We'll take a very short break here, but we're back with Reboot India. Don't go away.